Hi there, my name is Quentin, and welcome to my portfolio presentation. I can only hope whoever's watching this, your eyes haven't glazed over and your brain hasn't turned to mush from watching too many of these back to back to back. I can imagine that would be an arduous task, to say the least. So I'll try to keep things succinct and moving along. To that end, first thing I did want to say though was how pleased and excited I was that making a portfolio was the first project of the web development course. I spent a lot of time with web dev 4 or 5 years ago, but never got around to making a portfolio. Always intended to, never got around to it. So this was a great reason to finally dust off some old projects and get them ready to share, um, to refresh some old skills, to integrate some recent ones that I've been spending time with, and to learn some new ones as well. So really had a lot of fun with this. Um, I figured the best way to do this would be to quickly look at the sitemap, the wireframes, and the static images of the components. Then we'll swap over to a live demo of the site because I think that's just more fun and interesting for everyone. And then at the end, I'll come back to the slides and talk about some of the things I learned and the challenges and things for to improve for version 2, hopefully made with React. Um, yeah, so let's look at the poorly drawn sitemap. I apologize. I did this in Figma. I never used Figma before. Um, it's a very simple layout, which we'll see during the fly through. Um, it's a home page. Most of the content is on the home page, but the navigation has 3 links. I didn't know how to put that here. 3 links, one to a project's archive, which which only has one internal link to a page. I did intend to do one for every project, but I didn't get around to it. A link to a blog, which has the links to the blog posts, and it also has a contact link, but that just scrolls down to the section on the main homepage. So I didn't know if that was meant to be in a sitemap. I don't think it is, but I'm not sure. Here are the general wireframes for the desktop. I'm quite fond of the single page architecture. So I was sort of caught between two minds with that. So the desktop has a hero section, an about me, and a projects section, which showed some of the featured projects, and a contact form at the end. And has a few social media and YouTube and icons on the left and an email on the right. The mobile view is stock standard. Everything just stacks into a single column and scales down a little bit. Here are some of the static images for the components. Again, we'll see those during the walkthrough. Again, that's the other things. Here's the blog, as standard as it gets, just a grid of cards and then they stack. And this is an example of a card. And a single blog, single, I think, got that name from WordPress. I think that's where it's from. Yeah, so let's jump over to the live preview deployed on Netlify. So ignoring, we'll come back to some of the cool animations in a bit, but I figured it best to just do a quick fly through of the whole site. So as we scroll, we get the About Me with a link to the resume, the featured project section, a link to the project's archive, which is the same as the nav, and we have a contact form on the left. We have some position fixed icons that link to the GitHub and CodePen and YouTube and LinkedIn, and an email thing, and the contact form obviously doesn't work because we're not hooked up to a backend. Oh boy, I'm talking fast because I have a lot to get through. We'll come back to other things, but projects page, again, I really wanted to include more projects from the last 20 years of life, but didn't get around to it. Will get around to it. Blog page with cards. I suppose I should show, sorry, blog page with cards. Each card links to its respective blog post. And the contact, I don't think this works at the moment. It doesn't scroll all the way down, but it should. So this is the home page. Contact scrolls down to the bottom, but for some reason it's not doing that on other pages. Cool animations. So obviously there's the big one at the front. That's a Cables GL embedded patch. I won't go into that too far, but suffice to say it's a canvas element in the background that was created with a real-time patching environment called Cables GL. Obviously animates in, and then it's scroll controlled. So as you scroll back up, I thought that was cool. Anyway, spent a lot of time on that. Could talk about that for half an hour, but won't. So other notable fun animations or things. Simple one, but I learned how to scroll a scroll bar. Never did that before. The nav menu appears and hides. I use the page Y offset to detect if the new page Y offset is greater than the other one. Hide it. You get the idea. Things. If we get rid of this, obviously it's not the biggest deal, but things stagger in their reveals. I used a parameterized mix-in for that, which I hadn't done in SAS, to make that stagger duration a little bit easier. And obviously, as we scroll down, things fade in. I used the intersection observer API in JavaScript for that, which I hadn't used before. So as things elements intersect with the viewport, there's a callback for that, and you can just add a fade in keyframe animation to that. So that was cool. Yeah, I think that's about it. Use some before and after pseudo elements for the logo up here. Never really played with those before, so that was a new thing. Here's the mobile view, little Hamburg, and please ignore this. Got to bug fix that. It's bugging the hell out of me. Used a SAS for loop to stagger the menu as well, which I thought looked decent. Oh, and when the menu comes in, the background blurs as well. There's a blur layer that animates the opacity from 0 to 1 that is absolutely positioned over the top of the whole thing, which I thought was cool as well. Sometimes it's hard to see the nav here, but this thing. Anyway, cool projects as well. Mobile view, everything just stacks. And blog as well, everything goes from 3 to 2 to 1. Very simple. Nice. All right, short on time. Back to the slides. Yep. So challenges. Deciding on the style and layout, I just faced decision paralysis when it comes to how to do things. I looked at a lot of different sources and picked the ones that I liked, and came up with a few original ideas, but that took a long time. Obviously, without a templating engine, that's the reason why templating engines exist. As the thing started to scale, copying and pasting the header every time you make a change, copying and pasting the head. Oh man, can't wait to get to Flask and React to separate concerns there. Anyway, that which made refactoring a lot rather painful. Things I learned, a lot of new CSS techniques and some SAS tricks as well. Just new properties that have been updated. Use some clamp for variable fluid font width. A lot of SAS techniques, for loops. Use an extend once or twice. Some mix-ins, parameterized mix-ins, like I said, that was cool. A lot of variables, a lot of partials, standard SAS stuff. The JavaScript intersection observer API was the new one for that, which makes things a lot cleaner. And the big one, which I spent a lot of time on because it's something I'm fascinated with, I spent a lot of time with generative patching environments, Max MSP back in the old days, and Touch Designer was for a few years, and then most recently a web version of all this called Cables GL, which I'm finding very powerful and fascinating. But this was the first time I'd actually embedded it in a website, which was tricky. Here's a quick look at the patch. Anyway, moving on. Improvements, sorry I'm over time. Improvements would be to name things more consistently or to use a framework like BEM or Tailwind, which I'd only dabbled in many years ago. And then, hopefully getting solid with React and maybe using something like Eleventy, which I've heard of, a static site generator. We'll see. And I think that's it. Thank you for watching, and you get to take a much deserved break. Apologies for going a minute over. Thank you. Bye.